Hello, my little darlings. Hello, Robin. Hello, Jensen. Hello, Izzy. Hello, Ethan. I love you. I'm going to read you a story today. Ethan asked me if I would read to you either The Grumpy Old Man or The Crocodile, but I don't have those books. So I'm going to read you The Smartest Giant in Town. I've read you this lots of times, so I'm going to read it to you again. And I'm sorry if you're a bit fed up with it, but here we go. It's The Smartest Giant in Town. Here we go. George was a giant, the scruffiest giant in town. He always wore the same pair of old brown sandals and the same old patched up gown. I wish I wasn't the scruffiest giant in town, he said sadly. Look at him. He's got an old smock on. He's very tall though. Look at his sandals. They're very nice sandals though, aren't they? And there's all the people in the village. There's the mummy with her baby in a pram. There, look at all those people. So what happens next? But one day, George noticed a new shop and it was full of smart new clothes. Look at that giant-sized sock. So he brought a smart shirt, a smart pair of trousers, a smart belt, a smart stripy tie, some smart socks with diamonds up the side, and a pair of smart shiny shoes. Now I'm the smartest giant in town, he said proudly. Look, there's his shirt and his trousers and his belt and his stripy tie and his socks with diamonds up the side, and look at the size of those big black shiny shoes. George left behind his old clothes in the shop. He was about to go home when he heard a sound. On the pavement stood a giraffe who was sniffing sadly. What's the matter? Said George. It's my neck, said the giraffe. It's so very long and so very cold. I wish I had a long warm scarf. Now there's his old clothes been left behind in the shop. And there is George now. Look how smart he looks. And see the birds on the roof watching the giraffe? George is almost the same size as the giraffe, isn't he? Cheer up, said George, and he took off his stripy tie. It didn't match my socks anyway, he said, as he wound it round and round the giraffe's neck. It made a wonderful scarf. Thank you, said the giraffe. Look. There's the giraffe's scarf all round his neck. Look how tall he is. There's another lady behind. Look, she looks very tall as well. As George strode towards home, he sang to himself. My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, but look at me up and down. I'm the smartest giant in town. There he goes. I'm sorry about my singing. You all know what a horrible, silly, squeaky old voice your Nana's got. Look at the gnome on the bicycle. And the rabbit. Hey. George came to a river. On a boat stood a goat who was bleating loudly. What's the matter? Asked George. There's the goat on the boat. Look how small he is next to George. He's got a little flag on the top of his boat. Look, red and white. Oh, so it's red and yellow stripes. It's my sail, said the goat. It blew away in a storm. I wish I had a strong new sail for my boat. Oh, he's got quite a nice boat there, look. But then the storm blew the sail and it's all broken. He's got no sail now and he looks very sad. Cheer up, said George, and he took off his new white shirt. It kept coming untucked anyway, he said as he tied it to the mast of the goat's boat. It made a magnificent sail. Thank you, said the goat. There it is, look. There's the sail. Oh, it's blowing beautifully in the wind, isn't it? George strode on, singing to himself. My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. But look me up and down. I'm the smartest giant in town. There he goes, look. He's walking along and he's got no shirt and no scarf now. George came to a tiny ruined house. Beside the house stood a white mouse with lots of baby mice. They were all squeaking. What's the matter? Says George. Look at all the little mice there, look. Look at George's great big feet. They're enormous, aren't they? Oh, look at those, look. They've all got their suitcases. Oh. It's our house, squeaked the mother mouse. It burnt down, and now we have nowhere to live. I wish we had a nice new house. Oh, look at that. Oh, Jensen, I bet they had to call a fire truck for that. You? Look. Cheer up, said George, and he took off one of his shiny shoes. It was giving me blisters anyway, he said. As the mouse and her babies scrambled inside, the shoe made a perfect home for them. Thank you, they squeaked. There, look, they're all making their home in the shoe. It's a great big shoe, isn't it? Look at the laces. The mouse has climbed up the lace there. The butterflies are flying around. It's a nice picture, isn't it? They're passing their bags up into the shoe to make their new home. George had to hop along the road now, but he didn't mind. As he hopped, he sang to himself, my tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, my shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat, my shoe is a house for a little white mouse, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town. Look at him hopping. But they don't like his singing, a bit like my singing, isn't it? Not very good. But hey, we don't mind, do we? We like to have a good sing-song. George came to a campsite. Beside a tent stood a fox who was crying. What's the matter? Asked George. There, look. The poor fox is crying in his tent. Look, they're having a fire. What are they cooking on that fire, do you think? Do you think they're making toast? It's my sleeping bag, said the fox. I dropped it in a puddle. I wish I had a nice, warm, dry sleeping bag. Oh, look. Sleeping bag fell off his backpack. Cheer up, said George, as he took off one of his socks with diamonds up the side. It was tickling my toes anyway, he said, as the fox snuggled into it. It made a very fine sleeping bag. Thank you, said the fox. Look at that. God, that's a really good sleeping bag. You've got sleeping bags, haven't you, Izzy and Ethan? I expect Robin and Jensen will have one too one day. George hopped on, singing to himself. My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of my socks is a bed for a fox. But look me up and down. I'm the smartest garden in town, smartest giant in town. Oh, look at that. Look, he's hopping along and he's singing. And he's only got one boot on. He's still got his trousers, though. George came to a big squelchy bog. Beside the bog stood a dog who was howling. What's the matter? Asked George. Oh, look at the bog. It's right good and muddy. Real muddy puddles there. Could have a good time with that. It's this bog, said the dog. I need to get across, but I keep getting stuck in the mud. I wish there was a safe, dry path. Oh, look. See, he's got stuck in the bog. Oh, no, he's fallen over. He's got all his clothes all muddy. Cheer up, said George, and he took off his smart new belt. It was squashing my tummy anyway, he said as he laid it down over the bog. It made an excellent path. Thank you, said the dog. Wow, look at that. What a brilliant path. Look at that big shiny buckle on that belt. That's fabulous. The wind started to blow, but George didn't mind. He hopped on, singing to himself. My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of my socks is a bed for a fox. My belt helped a dog who was crossing a bog. But he's still singing. My trousers are falling down. My trousers are falling down. I'm the coldest giant in town. Suddenly, George felt sad and shivery and not at all smart. He stood on one foot and thought, I'll have to go back to the shop and buy some more clothes, he decided. He turned around and hopped all the way back to the shop. Look at him with his trousers falling down because he's got no belt. Oh, poor George. I expect he's really cold. But when he got there, it was closed. Oh cried George. He sank down onto the doorstep and a tear ran down his nose. He felt as sad as all the animals he had met on his way home. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he saw a bag with something familiar poking out of the top. Look, he's sitting out the shop. He's so sad. He's only got one shoe and a sock and a pair of pants and a vest. But look, there's a bag next to him. George took a closer look. My gown, he yelled. My dear old gown and sandals. George put them on. They felt wonderfully comfortable. I'm the cosiest giant in town, he cried, and he danced back home along the road. Look, he's got his old smock on and his sandals, and he's very happy. Outside his front door stood all of the animals he had helped. They were carrying an enormous present. Come on, George, they said. Open it. George untied the ribbon. Inside was a beautiful gold paper crown and a card. Look inside the card, George, said the animals. George put the crown on his head and opened the card. There, look. Look at all those big box and a card, and there's the giraffe with the scarf, and the fox and the mice, and the dog with his belt. Inside it said, your tie is a scarf for a coat, giraffe. Your shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. Your shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of your socks is a bed for a fox. Your belt helped the dog who was crossing a bog. So here's a very fine crown to go with the sandals and gown of the kindest giant in town. Look at that lovely card, look. They've all drawn a picture of them with the things that the giant gave to them. How nice is that? And that's the end of the book. So I hope you liked your story today, and I'll try and find another one. And if you can think of a book that Nana's got that you would like her to read you a story, just please let me know. And I love you and I miss you. And lots of love and kisses. Bye-bye.